Hello everyone, my name is Arun and welcome to my channel. Unlike the other tutorials or videos wherein I explain about the operating system or take some programming topics, I like to do this video differently. In this video, I like to talk about the Unity desktop and Unity desktop, especially with the breaking news from Canonical Company. A few days back, that is on 5th April 2017, Canonical made the Mark Shuttleworth, the founder of this Canonical company. Okay, this Canonical company is the company behind Ubuntu desktop and Ubuntu operating system. There was they Mark Shuttleworth made this announcement, and this was actually a massive announcement. In this, there's a big article over. This is a big article. If I were to skim it down and give you the gist of it, it's all there in the first paragraph. From version 18.04 LTS, Ubuntu will not have Unity desktop in it. Rather, it's going to have Gnome desktop. And also, on a side note, the project they had this as a back project going on there on with them, like of convergence, that is trying to have a common operating system and a cloud-based feature so that their phones, tablets, and your Ubuntu operating system, they all can be merged, have some kind of a cloud synchronizability. For that, they were actually working on making an Ubuntu-based operating system for your phone, for your smartphone and your tablet, so that you can enable cloud sharing and cloud synchronization, just like how we have in the iCloud feature of Apple devices, or like the OneDrive features of the Microsoft Windows thing, Microsoft. They're dropping these two projects. And the main reason why they're saying that they're dropping is because they wanted to give as much as emphasis to the desktops and the server community, and which are actually working pretty well, and they're maintaining the existing LTS releases. Okay, they're working on it. They want to work on it. What actually happened is that the investments they were trying to pump into these targets, like developing Unity 8 and maintaining Unity 7, and this convergence project, they were not giving them as much returns as they thought it will be, and they're not going anywhere near it. That's what I guess that's what they feel in this way. If you look at this article, you would have explained this in an eloquent way, trying to say what the actual reasoning behind it. And now that actually leads us to the question: what does this mean for users like you and me? I'm a fan of Ubuntu desktop, Ubuntu operating system, and my liking for Unity desktop is kind of mixed. Earlier, I was a big follower of Unity desktop, and when afterwards, to be honest, when I got to know about the other operating systems and started working with them and playing out with them, I realized that Unity desktop has a lot of scopes to be improved upon, and it's being, in my opinion, it's remaining reasonably stagnant. And unlike me, there are like several other power users who are actually continuously saying and criticize that Unity 7 was becoming more and more rigid, with lack of customization, with lesser features, and the most infuriating thing is that people say that some of the features that the users like, they are actually taken away from the desktop, making it rigid. Only recently, because of the Unity tweak tools, or the tweak tools that are available in the operating system, or which you have to install separately, by the way. It doesn't come along with it, but you have to install along with it. You will be able to change the themes, colors, and wallpapers, or move this dashboard bar to the bottom and all. You can have those features only due to the tweak tools and all. Okay, although that made a little bit improvement, I would say, I guess it was like the damage was already done. People did not like this for quite a variety of reasons. And one more reason is that I guess it's because I guess it's because the attitude with which Canonical wanted to work with. Not a bad attitude. It's kind of like, subject. It's kind of like subjective. For some reason whatsoever, Unity kind of stayed only in Ubuntu operating systems. No other operating system took Unity as the default operating system or even gave a try, except for some versions of Arch distributions which I heard, which might have used Unity, which may use Unity. I'm not sure. I'm not quite entirely sure. Other than that, no other distribution actually had a flavor of having had a flavor of Unity desktop. Installed. Integrated into the operating distro. It wasn't there. So as of now, if Canonical company pulls the plug, which it did pull the plug out of Unity 7 and Unity 8, Unity 16.04 and 16.10 and your version 17.404 would be the last stable distributions, which will have Unity 7 in them. We're not sure about how the situation will be in Ubuntu 17.10, which would be released in this year October. We're not sure about that. Now, what next? If Unity is gone, the company has decided to stick with GNOME desktop environment. Now that's quite a bit of quite a bit of a reversal, considering the fact that Unity was actually created in response to the changes they've made by GNOME. So I just have an article over here. This is actually from the Wikipedia. Thing is, Ubuntu actually had GNOME desktop environment in the past. If I read this out, Mark Shuttleworth cited philosophical differences with the GNOME team over the user experience and to explain why Ubuntu would use Unity as the default user interface instead of a GNOME shell beginning in April 2011, and with Ubuntu 11.04 Nati Narwhal. Thing is, from the 2011 versions, Unity became the default desktop environment for Ubuntu. Earlier, prior to that, Ubuntu had GNOME as the desktop. Okay. The reason why as Shuttleworth mentioned, it was a philosophical differences. That time, GNOME was in its version 2.0, and many people loved it. There were a few differences, yes, but many people loved it, and there were a lot of interesting things with it. And the company, the developers in GNOME, they moved to version 3, which was in many ways kind of like a lot of. There were like a lot of fundamental differences and a lot of secondary differences in the GNOME 3, which were like significantly different from GNOME 2. As a consequence, people didn't like it, and many people, especially the developers and in the community, desktop environment community, which they worked on different operating systems, they want to integrate GNOME into them. They didn't like it much, and that actually gave rise to different kinds of a few different operating desktop environments in competition to GNOME. The desktop environment that came from Ubuntu or from the canonical side is actually Unity, whereas the people who are responsible for maintaining and working creating the Linux Mint, they came up with the Cinnamon. And some people, what they did is they took the forked version, they forked a version of GNOME 2 before it became GNOME 3, and they took that, made some modifications, and revamped and created their own desktop that resembled GNOME 2 significantly, and they called it the Mate desktop environment. So that was like that was like a major turning point from which Unity started. Other than that, Unity because of the reasons and because of the facility or whatever it is, there were like quite a lot of mixed reviews. Each version had their own reviews, like ups and downs, and a little bit of contradiction. Some viewers actually found faults with the implementation. They said that it's only a small improvement, Some people some people say it was not good. Ubuntu for 12.04 with the in the Ubuntu 12.04, that was actually at the peak of Unity. Unity received quite a lot of reviews in that, and afterwards, since it was kind of like being stable, and not without much modification. And if you look at all this, article regarding the reception and the developments, you can get a full idea about the some of the major modifications. And if you look in this article over here, Ubuntu conducted a non-scientific poll. Oh my god, Ubuntu conducted a non-scientific poll and asked the readers. Many people said that 46.78% indicated that they will prefer using Unity over Gnome, and they prefer Unity over XFCE and Unity over KDE. So Unity was like ranking considerably high at that time. If you were to take this poll to be factually accurate, okay, they preferred this more over Gnome. But as time went by, it kind of modified a bit. Anyway, moving on, this is actually the backstory behind the creation of Unity. And if you read this article through, I don't want to put you all with so much information. I just want to say that consider for a company that wanted to move away from Gnome because they had fundamental differences, philosophical differences, as it's cited over here. They had philosophical differences. They just again moving back to Gnome. That which leads to another question: why not other desktops? Maybe it's because they had some political issues, or some technical issues, or some kind of development issues. There could be many. And now, this being said, what will be the fate of the company? This particle is a bit it's like a follow-up article, and this looks a bit not so good, to be honest. It seems that the company Canonical was, if we had to understand this article cleanly, they were facing a lot of losses. They were facing a lot of losses, and they were not getting enough returns to Unity 8 development and Unity 7 development. And then more than what they invested. They invested a lot. It didn't turn up to their expectations as they thought it will be. So they felt that they'll chop this this development off. And now, as a consequence, Unity 8, which is actually funded for 7 years of investment, now it's being stopped. This could mean that a lot of people who are actually working on Unity 8 and the Convergence project, they could be how do I put it, fired. Some estimates say that the company, which has Canonical company, which has a workforce of 700 people, out of the 700 people, 30 to 60% of the people of the developers and the workers in their company, they would be removed from job. They would be terminated from job. That is not at all good. Imagine what will happen to those people who are actually working on it. Will they get a new job? Don't know. Only time will tell. That's a little hard. And now what they're doing is, what will be the direction in which Ubuntu will move is that they will stick with the desktop environment and make considerable improvements in it. Okay. The reason why this is actually this move by Canonical is a massive shock in the Linux Linux environment. Okay, Linux family or Linux community, is that Ubuntu turned out to be one of the prime motivator and developer competitor in the Linux distribution community. Prior to Ubuntu coming to the Linux distribution market, all the other distributions were there, and they were all still concentrating on advanced users. Ubuntu made a massive change in which It made the desktops available for the regular, I mean, even for not so technical users. Um, of course, there were other improvements, but other improvements and developments from all other distributions and community. I agree with that. I'm not going to deny that. What the change made by Ubuntu was substantial enough that many people started taking a good interest in Linux distributions, and I guess many people would agree with me if I said that Ubuntu distributions played a significant role in attracting a lot of new enthusiastic users and community developers into the Linux field. I guess that everyone would agree with me. And thanks to Ubuntu's developments and progress they made, they have a good amount of share in pushing development in the Debian family of the operating system. Debian family in the Ubuntu in Linux community. Also, Ubuntu is kept as like a benchmark or some kind of a reference mark, or some how do I say, a desktop which is under constant review and notice by all of the distributions. So if anybody in the Linux community makes some considerable change to the desktop environments, okay, they'll also have a look and observe closely and survey what is actually happening and what's actually developing in the Linux Ubuntu distributions. So because anything that happens in Ubuntu will have a substantial substantial reflection in many of the systems. And Ubuntu was actually having this actually implies and everybody would have implies that Ubuntu is having a quite a lot of influence in the development of all the other operating systems. And since Ubuntu is very popular, there are like so many branches of so many flavors of Ubuntu, or distributions of Ubuntu that are coming out with that. So the development of Ubuntu actually causes or influences the timeline of development for all other distributions that are Ubuntu based. With that being said, this kind of a decision is quite interesting. And we just have to wait and see as to what will happen in the future. What will happen to the 17.10 version? We are not sure yet. At least the news is kind of little vague. Other than that, with Unity 7 and Unity 8 being dropped off from investment, some questions that remain is: will the Ubuntu version 17.04, which is about to pop in another few weeks, will that have Unity 8 in it? Now in the alpha versions, the beta version that they released so far, they had both Unity 7 and Unity 7 and Unity 8. Unity 7 was made as the default version, and Unity 8 was like you have a preview version of it. In the official release in the end of April, will they have Unity 8 in it? We don't know. And if you ask me, removing Unity 8 in that distribution in 17.04 would be a total pain, considering for all the workers, considering the fact that they put so much effort in integrating the Unity 8 with Unity 7. So my best guess is that they wouldn't remove it in this version, but subsequently in the future they would remove it off. Well, as of now, the direction in which Ubuntu is going is not that pretty clear. Things can modify in the future. The only deterministic thing we know is a lot of people would be fired, unless otherwise the company finds a way to put all these people that they're thinking of firing them into some other project and keeping them on payroll. And other than that, you'll know that Ubuntu will go with Gnome in the future. And the next thing would be this would be another interesting topic for the community. If Unity 7 Unity 7 and Unity 8 are still lying in the community, will it be forked so that other people can work on it in the future and work on it in the future and implement them in their distributions? We're not sure yet. If it's made into if it's made it into forked and made it public, I mean it is in public, but if it's officially forked, then some other people can work on it and join it. And considering the fact that Unity is hardly used anywhere other than Ubuntu, that is a bit unlikely. And actually, if you ask me, I wouldn't blame the decision made by Canonical in this. You see, especially for the convergence project, you see, this convergence project is actually a massive undertaking for a company like Canonical. I'm not undermining I'm not undermining the credentials of the company. It's just the fact that some super massive companies like Microsoft and Microsoft and Apple, they have a really tough time giving in the smartphone market, because almost the majority of the smartphones are actually Android based, so the Android is actually the dominant in the smartphone market. Consequently, it is quite difficult. Even for let's say Apple and Microsoft to have a strong hold in the market. With that being said, Canonical and Ubuntu, they have to put something different on the table and something more exciting on the table to actually top this off. Well, that is subjective. You never know. I mean, you don't know with absolute surety as to what they have to bring to come into picture. Even Ubuntu did had a little bit of success with releasing smartphones with Ubuntu operating system and tablets with Ubuntu operating system. I guess it didn't catch up pretty well, or it didn't get much of attraction as they thought they would. Well, that's a bit sad. Anyway, let's hope that Ubuntu, Canonical and Ubuntu will spring back from this major setback. Let's hope them for the best. And this is not going to be the end of the Ubuntu operating system for sure. This is not at all going to be the end. Rather, I will just consider this as some kind of a reflection point the company had in the distribution and the desktop. That being said, that's all I have for you all in this tutorial. So in this video, thank you all for watching, and I will see you all next time in another interesting video. Till then, take care.